Namaskar, greetings, gratitude. I welcome you all to the StarTalks episode number 25. And today, on the hot seat with me is Professor Sanjay Dhir, the Associate Professor and Area Chair, Strategic Management, DMS IIT Delhi. I welcome you to StarTalks, sir.
Thank you,
How are
Preeti.
you doing?
I'm good, Preeti. Thank you so much. And you have made me nervous, but I will do my best. Thank you so much for
Oh,
the invite.
my pleasure is to host you today, sir. Every day we are every week we are looking forward to your classes and how easy you make learning for all of us. I remember our first class, it went for 4 hours, and I did not realize I had learned so much, got so much. So many you teach us by examples, and where did that 4 hour go? I don't know, without any break. And happy to be the strategic management student at DMS IIT Delhi. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. You have not been our student only, Preeti. You are also the CR of the class. So you have managed the class very well. Without you, we would not have, conducted this complete program anyway. Thank you so much. You are being very kind. Thank you so much.
Honored, sir. Honored, sir. Sir has received Teaching Excellence Award and Mrs. Veena Arora Early Career Research Excellence Award at IIT Delhi. Before his academic career, Professor Dhir worked in the Research and Development Department of Mahindra and Mahindra. His contributions to strategic management include publications and case studies, including those from the Richard Ivey School of Business and Harvard Business School. Sir, if I may know, what inspired you to pursue a career in management studies as an academician?
Okay. Thank you, Preeti. I think this is the most, interesting question because I come from a very varied background. But in fact, to be very frank, if I have to just mention about it, academia runs into my blood. So both my grandfather and my mother was a PhD. So the intellectual discussions in my home since childhood was always normal as tea breaks. Um, but my journey into management, especially academia, was not only hereditary, but it was shaped by the real world experience. So it was not in my DNA, and by DNA, I don't think that that's the biological DNA, but how I define DNA of my career evolution is regarding the destiny, the navigation, as well as the adaptation that I have done over the years. So as you mentioned, I started my corporate journey with Mahindra, thinking that I would thrive in this structured world of corporate strategy. Soon the myth was out, and as I navigated and as I, uh, rose the ladders of the corporate, I realized that the inquiry, the problem solving, and the vision of the corporates becomes very, very important. And when I cracked CAT, went to IIM Lucknow to do my FPM, I think it redefined my perspective of how I look at corporate strategy because I saw how theoretical concepts intersected with the practical leadership. And this is where I got inclined towards academia, not to actually escape the real industry challenges, but to actually blend it with the projects and my background to solve real life problems. And, I strongly believe in one of the personalities, ABJ Abdul Kalam. You know that I've talked about him a lot in my classes. And I always remember his words that a small aim is a crime. And this is what I thought that probably, this is something that is my mantra to actually contribute to the three P's of the structured corporate environment that we are actually talking about, to the policy, to the practitioners, to the people, to the society. Because I think whatever we do is an alliance, is more of a collaboration. And I did my PhD in strategic alliances. And I realize in this VUCA world today, probably, um, yeah, it has given me an opportunity to actually blend what the practitioners as well as the academicians, my students who are getting trained, will go to the corporate, and it gives me a kick being in academia. So I really enjoy my time in this particular academia, and then I do this. Thank you.
So nice, sir. Thank you so much. So, sir, you've received Inside IM Professor of the Year Award 2020 and 2021. As a highly respected educator, we'd love to know who are some of the individuals who have had the greatest influence on your thinking about management. I think you've already said it and something more about it.
Yes, yeah. So it's again a very difficult question to answer because being in the management domain, I have had the privilege to follow, and I really have my thought process have shaped with a mix of visionaries, the people who had hands-on experience, and a lot of real life lessons. So I'll try to structure it in a way that probably there are some classics, and the people who have dealt with the classic management theories like Peter Drucker and the Clayton Christensen. I work in innovation, because I think Drucker actually defined why management matters, and Christensen actually explained why even the best companies fail if they don't innovate. So I think that is the basis of my strategy lessons that I have learned. I think I really follow them, their advice, their vision. But my hands-on experience in actually Mahindra and I'm Lucknow, and in fact in IT Delhi also, I think there has been a lot of people in the current scenario who has actually shaped my thinking. One of them is Ratan Tata. I think I really love his quote that I take a decision and then make it right, because he has proved as a leader that ethics and empathy are not weaknesses but strengths in businesses. Of course, if you look at some of the current leaders like Satya Nadella, he has transformed Microsoft not only by control but also by empowering teams. Some of the people like APJ Abdul Kalam I have already talked about. I think these are some of the personalities that I really follow, and probably they have not only shown us that what business is all about regarding the economic value add, but they have also emphasized upon the right way of doing things, not doing things right.
Wonderful. This is so wonderful, sir. Sir, you advise various governmental and international bodies. You were nominated as expert for the GNCTD State Level Committee on Oxygen Infrastructure during the COVID-19 pandemic by the Delhi government. Also, you serve the National Technical Advisory Committee for Oxygen Infrastructure Management. Could you please share with us the experience of it?
So this is my bread and butter, Preeti. I think when we talk about these particular assignments that goes beyond my call of duty inside IT Delhi, specifically during COVID times, I think two things that was very important for the society was oxygen as well as vaccination. And I had the privilege to actually work with the government, understand their perspective, and deal with this particular societal problem that was of prime importance at that period of time. I think when you are dealing with a problem that impacts the society, you need three C's. And I have always emphasized whenever I do consulting, whenever I deal with the ministry, I think the critical thinking is very, very important. That means you just can't accept what is being done, but you ask the right questions. And that's the critical thinking that I really want all my students to develop, because if you have done everything that has been done in the past, you will not be able to change the future. The communication is very important. The second C, because you can't explain your vision, your strategies clearly, no one will ever follow it. So that communication has to be very, very simple. And the change management, that everything is in a flex, and if you resist change, you become obsolete. So whenever I deal with the ministries and the consultancies, I think this is very important, because you need to follow these three C's, specifically from the perspective of the beneficiary and the stakeholders of what exactly they want. Yeah, so these are some of the things that I personally feel that I have learned over years to deal with the ministries.
Beautiful. And By virtue of you, we are learning so much. I remember the first class when you spoke about invention and innovation, just a thin line,
Yes.
and yes, a big matter. Yes. Sir, what are the most significant changes that you've observed in management education over the past decade? And what changes do you foresee that are coming up?
So, to be very frank, management education in the past, in the present, and the future, the three categories that I actually put them into, has evolved a lot. Because in the past, I think these schools was all about textbooks, frameworks, and some of the case studies from the pre-digital age, and it was more of a theoretical, structured, and slow to change. But the recent influx of a lot of people who are very dynamic with the real world applications, the industry academia collaborations, and of course, in the last class that I was taking for you, also the AI driven decision making and my own work with the ministry and the industry projects, you see that education now is becoming more action oriented. And if you're missing on that particular action, you're missing on the real connect and the learnings that's happening in the classrooms. And tomorrow, probably the next phase that we are sitting into here in 2025, maybe in 2030, maybe in 2035, you will see that there is a lot of AI assisted learning. There is a lot of ultra specialized management programs, the leadership trained focused on adaptability. Um, and basically, I also believe, I'll quote Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam again, that he said that probably, you have to dream before your dreams come true. So that is the most important thing that I probably feel that that dream of having an ideal state, and if India has to become a developed nation by 2047, we need to all gear up to actually make our education management learning more action oriented, solving the problems of the people that are not solved earlier, because we have very customized problems in India. And this is where probably the connect between what is being taught in the class, the training that is going in the class, and the people who go out to solve those problems are well equipped with those particular learnings. That, of course, is drawing the patterns of the past education, but also drawing upon the futuristic innovation that actually you were talking about, and out of box thinking. That becomes one of the most essential skills for the future.
Definitely, definitely. Change is the only constant, and we must flow with it. And rightly said, Mr. APG Abdul Kalam, that the dream has to be seen before. Yes, absolutely. That it has already set it. Wonderful. You've already, my next question was about the AI and automation, and I think you've already answered my question. Little focus on what are some of the key skills or competencies that you believe are essential for the success in management roles today. I think that also you've catered to, that the skills of innovation are also required. Anything more that you would like to
Yes.
address?
So apart from the three C's that I mentioned about critical thinking, communication, and the change management, I think now it's a very fast-paced world, Preeti. And I personally think, and I train my students that there is a race going on, and with not a literal meaning of race, but I think that what race stands for is more of the reskilling, adaptation, collaboration, and experiments. Because now, in the era of this data analytics and AI driven, I think we all need to reskill and refocus of what we are doing with this particular data. Because I was doing this particular one of the projects, and I really learned one thing from the experts sitting there, that a lot of data analysis leads to diarrhea. And until unless you are making those data for the science, until unless we are collaborating with the science of the data and amalgamating that with the art, that is more of the action orientation, the recommendation, and the task that probably you propose out of that particular data, we are not going to make any sense of the new age technologies that are actually coming up. But this reskilling is not important. We have to adapt to the change. As we have already emphasized, the change is the only constant. It's an ongoing process. What works today doesn't work tomorrow. And collaboration. is important. The third C of the race is the business schools must closely work with the industry leaders, policymakers, technology providers. That's why the projects that we actually do with the ministry and the corporate sector are very, very critical, because this is where we get to learn about a lot of issues that they're actually facing, and we try to bring those learnings in the class. And of course, when you're talking about the final E of race, it's all about that AI, and I've already taken this particular stand, that AI will never replace managers who actually think strategically, ethically, and creatively. So AI powered algorithms are never going to replace humans, and we will always have the dominance of these particular race, which becomes very, very important. And this is where we need to focus our learning to the students, and that's the most important part.
Absolutely, absolutely. So the fears, I think everybody's you've removed by telling it all. Yes. From where will that creativity the AI will get? Sure. Also, sir, there's often a debate about theory versus practical experiences in management education.
Yeah.
Although we are all learning from the examples that you said
Yeah.
every time. Yeah.
So let's be honest here, Preeti. I think being an academician, the only thing that theory brings in, and I think this is very important before we go towards the application and practice, because this gives you essential building blocks for structuring your thoughts. Your structured thinking comes from the theory. And maybe these concepts would be meaningless until and unless they are tested in the real scenarios. And that is why I think the blend of this theory and the practice is very important, because what you learn by making decisions, by failing, by improving is more important. Because once we have a structured thought, and I'm a huge supporter of the failure stories in the case studies. I teach a lot of failure case studies in my classes rather than the successful case studies, because I personally feel that when you are failing, you are learning a lot. Because I'll give you, one of the examples of the Australian defense sector. The first question that they asked the entrant who is sitting in an interview to enter into their army, air force, navy, that have you ever failed in your particular life? And if the answer is no, they don't hire them, because they know that if the person has not failed, he has not faced that consequences, he has not thought about this particular, restructured his thoughts. I think the failure of the application of the theories and the practical aspect generate new theories out of it, because 5 years down the line, probably even quick commerce would be a obsolete thing to do. And 5 years before, if you had asked about the quick commerce, about Blinkit and others things, that probably people were busy making the theories of e-commerce, and now the quick commerce is going to replace e-commerce, very effectively. The theories changes, the perception changes, the time changes, and it's a very fast changing world. But of course, the theoretical concepts are very, very important to structure our thoughts, to understand what has happened and what can happen. And then the real applications are also very important there. So I think the blend of theory and practice is something that makes management very exciting.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, a little different questions, sir. So, when you are not managing your daily affairs, your college affairs, and what do you do to unwind and relax?
So one of the advices that I got from my Mahindra seniors was that probably how you unwind is because you don't need to unwind, because there is no fatigue in the work that actually you enjoy. But I'm that kind of person that actually enjoys reading, challenging my concepts. The books are my best friends. Of course, when you spend time with your family, your kids, you get a lot of insights, because what a 4-year-old can actually teach you in terms of how to enjoy their particular life carefree is something that we all adults are actually lacking. So I learn a lot from kids. I love playing with kids. And basically, I also feel that if you have a goal, you cannot just stop. Like Swami Vivekananda always says, that arise, awake, and stop till not the goal is reached, is something that I actually believe in. whether you are into the system, if you take this as a 9 to 5 job, it's just a 9 to 5 job. But I think you need to take some decisions, and then stick to it, and make sure that your entire life is going towards that particular decision. And of course, I mean, the moment you unwind, is something that I really feel that spending time with the families, having some hobbies here and there. This is what I do. I love to drive. Being in Mahindra, I'm a great, I love to drive cars. And of course, spending time with the family is something that I do to unwind.
In your classes, we've come to know so much about cars. Yes. Thank you so much, sir, for coming to the Star Talks today and letting us so much know about the strategic management, the course I'm pursuing under your guidance. And I must say and appreciate that I am doing wonderfully good in your guidance. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Yes, I am the CR and I really did well. I'm one of the toppers in my midterm exam.
Yes.
So that makes me happy. Thank you. Thank you so much
You know,
for coming,
you know,
sir.
you know what makes the professors very happy, Dr. Preeti, when their
Hmm.
students go ahead of them. And this is what I believe in. This is what my guide believed in. So it gives us ultimate satisfaction if your students go beyond and are more successful than you. And this is what I hope for you. All the
So
best.
sweet
Thank
of
you so
you.
much for being so kind. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, my dear audience, for being with us on this lovely chat with Professor Sanjay Dhir. Tomorrow again, I will come back with another personality who has inspired my life. Thank you.